Hey, what's going on, guys? Today we're going to take a look at three new bezel-less slider phones that were just announced. Those, of course, are the Xiaomi Mi Mix 3, the Honor Magic 2, and the Lenovo Z5 Pro. Now, these phones have a lot in common, but they've also got a lot of differences. So we're primarily going to focus on the differences in this video, try to figure out which one might be best for you. Now, the only similarity I'm going to hit on is they all appear to have the same screen. They all have the 6.39-inch AMOLED display. That's 1080p with a 19.5 by 9 aspect ratio. That just means the phone is going to be very narrow and very tall. I'm not a huge fan of that personally, but if you have smaller hands and want a bigger display, then maybe these phones are something for you. But anyway, all three of the phones, I thought that was interesting. Seems like they've got the same display across all three, which is really interesting because they all have different price points. So diving into the differences here, we're going to go to the specs on the Magic 2 and the Mix 3, and I've already got them pulled up in the other tab there with the Lenovo Z5 Pro. So, the Mix 3 is rocking a Snapdragon 845. It's the latest Snapdragon at this time. The Magic 2 is rocking Huawei's latest processor, that's the Kirin 980. And then the Z5 Pro is actually rocking a Snapdragon 710. So that's one of Qualcomm's, I guess, flagship mid-range processor, if that makes any sense at all. It's kind of how they're marketing it. Not a lot of phones have had it yet. But what I can say is the 710 I don't think is necessarily a knock because I've been using phones with Snapdragon 660s and 636s, which are lower than the 710 as far as performance goes, as you'd probably expect from the numbering. And they run great. I mean, if you optimize your software well, then I don't think performance will be a problem at all on the Z5 Pro. Now, next big difference on them is the batteries. We've got a 3200 milliamp hour battery here on the Mix 3. Over on the Honor Magic 2, we've got 3400, and the Z5 Pro is right in the middle at 3350. And there we go, right there, 3350. So if battery life is your thing, I think the Z5 Pro is going to be the way to go because it's got a less power-hungry chip in the Snapdragon 710. It's got the second biggest battery of the bunch. That's just my opinion there on that one. Now, none of these phones have a headphone jack, which is pretty sad. They all have USB Type-C. As far as what comes in the box, that's another difference between these phones. The Mix 3 actually comes with a wireless charger, and I don't think I have a picture of that here on this page, but Android Authority's got a rundown on this phone, and they can show you an unboxing as well. So the Mix 3 comes with a wireless charger, Magic 2 and Z5 Pro, not so much. Now, the Magic 2 does come with Huawei's new 40-watt supercharger, so this thing should charge insanely fast. So it kind of makes up for the lack of a wireless charger being included in the box there. Now with these phones, the last thing I'll talk about is the fingerprint sensor. As you can see here, the Magic 2 has an in-display fingerprint sensor that'll just be on the front of the phone, while both the Mix 3, you can see they're on the back, and the Z5 Pro, I don't think we have a back shot here in this article I pulled up, but they both have rear-mounted fingerprint sensors. Now if you want to just kind of show off to your friends, in-display is probably the way to go, but rear-mounted is going to be quicker, at least where the technology stands at this moment. Now, I said that was the last similarity, or I'm sorry, last difference, and it is, except for the price tag, which of course we have to go over here. This Mix 3 starts at $475. That gets you 6 gigs of RAM and 128 gigs of storage. We got it here in this paragraph if you want to read that while I'm talking. Starts at $475 and comes with that wireless charger. You get a nice, configuration there of 6 gigs and 128, so that's definitely awesome. Goes all the way up to 10 gigs of RAM, which you're really only going to need for bragging rights. I can't really think of a reason why you'd want that much RAM or need that much RAM, I guess. The Magic 2 is actually the most expensive of the bunch. This one starts at about $550. Let's see if I can scroll down here to the pricing information for you guys to read. Looks like it's not on this page, but starts at $550 for the same configuration, 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage on the Magic 2. But if you love Huawei, if you really want that super fast charging, if you want that bigger battery because it's got the biggest battery of the bunch, and if you want the best performance because the Kirin 980 is the top processor currently on the market, this is probably the way to go for you, which would be the Magic 2. Now the Z5 Pro, it's got the highest screen to body ratio, which is crazy, but I mean they're all pretty close there. And it has the cheapest price tag. It starts at about $288 US. But that's the baseline model. It doesn't have the 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gigs of storage. For that one, it's going to cost you $331. But that's still significantly cheaper than the other two. So for the same memory and RAM, 6 gigs of RAM, 128 of storage, You've got 331 on the Z5 Pro, 475 on the Mix 3, and 550 on the Magic 2. That's a pretty substantial difference between the three there. And again, this is why I mentioned the screen right from the get-go. They all have the same size, resolution, and style of screen, 6.39-inch AMOLED. So if they all, in fact, have the same screen, then, I mean, this is just a bargain on Lenovo's front. Anyway, guys, that pretty much wraps up this video. Just wanted to hit some key differences between these phones, since this slider is I guess, a new way to go bezel-less. Pretty cool phones, kind of more conceptual phones, but I'm going to keep my eye out to see if any of them are going to work in the US, and if they will, I'll make sure to update you guys with links in the description. Thanks so much for watching. I'll see you in the next one.